next for me would be Felix from over the weekend, and I've been working since last night or since Friday to come up with the right adjective to describe Felix on Friday. I think meh is too negative because he wasn't bad.
Can I help you out here, Salk? Can I help you out here?
Please do. I'm desperately
right,
seeking a word.
Well, here's the skipper. All right, so we've heard from the pitching coach, right? We heard from the general manager. We heard from the skipper beforehand. Here was Scott Service after the performance Friday night.
It's great to have Felix back, obviously, and I don't think it was his sharpest game, but he threw strikes. He had all of his pitches working for the most part. He's going to compete. I'm really glad we had his pitches built up coming into this game. It allowed it to us to play with it and try to ride him as deep as we can. I think he's getting the beer shower right now.
Not his sharpest yet.
I still don't have a good adjective for it. I mean, I think that's fair. He was unsharp.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're going
Blunt?
to go with? He was dull.
Dull?
He was dull and blunt. I don't know. Look, he was okay. He definitely wasn't bad. As one texter keeps pointing out, he did get the only win for the Mariners over the weekend. Of course, the 13 runs they scored that day sure seemed to help. He got himself out of trouble a couple of times, which is a really good sign. He didn't let the innings get too bad and kind of blow up on him. He made some mistakes, and the Astros made him pay for it. At the end of the day, it's just hard to watch Felix not be Felix. And coming to that conclusion, even though I know it's the case, even though I've worked hard to try to rationalize the fact that he's going to be a different kind of pitcher moving forward, it's still hard to see him not be the pitcher.
Well, what is that?
Let's
Let's define that. Okay, and I think in order to sort this out, what does that mean? It's hard to watch Felix not be Felix. Is that setting a bar? What is Felix?
It's hard to see him not be one of the great pitchers in the game.
Okay.
He's not. Felix is not one of the great pitchers in baseball anymore, is he?
Was Holiday
No, he's not.
A great pitcher at the end? Was Burley
just
a great pitcher?
answer the question. No, he's not, and that's hard because he was Felix Hernandez. He was the king, and every 5 days you knew you were going to get 7+ innings and 2 or fewer runs. And it's hard not knowing that anymore. And it doesn't make him a bad pitcher, and it doesn't mean I don't like him, and it doesn't mean that I'm looking to hate Felix. It's hard to see him not be that anymore, and it takes some getting used to, even though I know it's the case.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, it does. I understand all of that. The most challenging part of all of this, and this is where Tom also gets really mad and sometimes doesn't even listen to our show because I don't know where we're going with it because we get so deep into this stuff. But I do think about what's going on between Felix's ears. Because does Felix believe that? Do you want Felix to believe that? Do you want Felix to realize that he's no longer that guy and become somewhat of a different pitcher? I think between the ears is such an enormous part about this, and that's why I think you and I both enjoyed John Smoltz talking about Felix when Smoltzy, the Hall of Famer, was with us Friday.
Felix has to compete against a former.
Wait, sorry, that's labeled John Smoltz, but it's
Jared
clearly
Dipoto, who we
not.
also like listening to.
That's
he might
exactly
have to
right.
eliminate a quadrant. If it calls for a high fastball that he normally could blow by a guy, maybe he has to be pitching in more. He'll learn because, look, I love his makeup, and I've always loved watching this guy pitch. And he'll take his bumps along the way, but I don't think you're going to lose because of what he went through. I don't think you're going to lose the pitchability. You might have to lose the ERA once was X, and maybe he has to alter that in certain games. But that's what you have to learn, and the only way you can do it is between those white lines and do it under the gun.
So I think the question becomes, and I love that term right there, the pitchability, right? Can the pitchability offset some of the velocity and some of the other things that he used to be able to get away with and he used to be able to do where he can still be dominant? Because I think in his mind, that answer is unequivocally yes. And don't you dare tell me otherwise. In Felix's mind.
Felix's?
Yes.
Yeah, but in some ways, the answer is only yes if he accepts that he's no longer the king. Does that make sense? The pitchability and all of the smarts and all of the things he should have learned along the way only really come to factor in once he recognizes that he has to use all those things.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's starting to figure that out, and that can make him a good pitcher from here on out. I really believe he can be a good pitcher. But it doesn't make it any easier to accept that, some of your texts coming in. He was serviceable. He was satisfactory. He was plain. These are your texts, not mine. And look, Felix Hernandez saying he was satisfactory compared to what he was even just a year or so ago, that's a bummer to try to, just to recognize
Felix
that some of that time is over.
Felix's experience and his pitchability, in Smoltz's words, he can still be 15-6 with a 3.5 ERA. Can he still be? Can't that be approachable? Yes. He could still be a 15-6 with a 3.5 ERA.
If he learns to pitch the way that is going to allow him to do that.